Hey y'all, welcome back. This is part 3 of how I escaped a toxic relationship. So the last time we talked, I told you that he went to jail for assaulting me on the side of the expressway. And then his mother called me later that night upset that I had her son locked up for assaulting me on the side of the expressway. Technically, I did not have him locked up. I honestly would have been too scared to call the police. What happened is somebody saw him tussling with me on the side of the expressway. They called the cops, and when the cops pulled up, they saw how I looked. They saw how he looked. They asked me what happened. I told them. They took him to jail. So he ended up standing there for a few months, and he would bombard me with calls. And this is, like I said, abuse starts in the mind. Now, this man has already threatened to reveal some, we'll just say intimate details of our relationship, which I did not sign up for or know that he had. Be careful who you lay down with. Be careful of your surroundings when you are being intimate with someone. That's all I have to say about that. So he would go from, you better answer this phone or else I'm going to expose you, to, I really love you, please don't leave me, you all I got, to, oh, you must not be answering the phone because it's some dude, to, well, don't nobody want you anyway, you fat, you this, you that, So I never really got away from it. I wanted to get away from it, but I just didn't know how. And at the time, I was broken. I was a broken woman. And I couldn't tell anybody. I was ashamed. And I felt stupid. And I felt taken advantage of, just all the things. And I felt like if I told somebody, they're just going to be like, why are you being so dumb? And it's like I couldn't take another person jumping on me about it. So now we're at the point where I am being abused physically, mentally, emotionally, and I guess you could say intimately. He ends up, months go by, he ends up getting out of jail. Time goes by, summer, whatever. It's the cycle of us breaking up, us getting into it, getting back together. September rolls around. I am in this little beater car. Remember I told y'all I had to get another car after mine was totaled? Okay, so I have an older model car that I'm paying a car note on. I go to the store with my son. On the way to the store, a girl T-bones me, totals my car. The accident is not my fault because she didn't yield to oncoming traffic, which I was oncoming traffic. Luckily, my son just had some little bumps and bruises because he was strapped into his car seat. I, on the other hand, braced for impact, so I had neck and shoulder issues to the point where I had to get cortisone shots every couple of weeks for months on end. I went through probably close to a year of PT. In that time, he had acquired a car. I believe his mother was getting divorced or something, and she came to this money. He'd acquired this blue Cadillac. I'll never forget that. And I acquired another car. Okay, so now we each have a car. He was never really there for me to depend on because the whole time of me healing and so on, he really wasn't there for me like he should have been. He was only there in the capacity of, I'm going to stick around so I can still control you. During this time, I started really realizing, and it's going to sound crazy, y'all, his mama was jealous of me. His mom was going through a divorce. His mom had put on quite a bit of weight because she was going through a depression from the divorce, and she was very sickly. She had open heart surgery and also had heart attacks, respiratory issues, just so many different things. There was a situation where his mom went into cardiac arrest and she was rushed to the hospital unresponsive. Do y'all know that this man showed his behind at the hospital? Now, I understand people deal with things differently, but pay attention to when people are dealing with their parents, how they deal with them, because that is how they will deal with you. And pay attention to how their parents deal with them. All of this is relevant to how they will be in relationship with you. Like I said, his mother was jealous of me. Every time we would get ready to go somewhere, because his mother stayed with him. Well, they kind of like lived together. I won't say one lived with the other because they were very codependent. She would say things like, yeah, y'all go ahead and go because one day y'all gonna come back and I'm gonna just be dead on the ground. So anyway, his mother goes, she would say things like that all the time. So anyway, his mother goes into, she's unresponsive. They rushed her to the hospital. It's very, very serious. Instead of being concerned and prayerful, like I hope everything goes well, he finds a way to blame me for what happened to her, even though he was there when it happened. Anyway, she ends up getting a stent, I believe, or some sort of procedure, and she ends up getting out. They now live in Atlanta, maybe about 30 minutes away from me. And we go through this cycle again of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, right? Some kind of way, they lost the car, I think, to like a buy here, pay here or something. And then they end up losing the house they were renting because, unbeknownst to them, the gentleman that was renting the house was not paying the mortgage with their rent. So the house had gone into foreclosure while they were renting it. They had just paid the rent, and here come the marshals, knock, knock, you gotta go. So they had to up and move. His mom ends up buying a car, but he still don't have no license. He's still driving without a license. He's driving under influence. And once again, he gets pulled over. He gets in trouble. He goes to jail. Once you start getting so many DUIs, you don't just get the bond out, because the judges look at your record and they'll make you sit. Sometimes they won't even give you a bond. So this time he ended up sitting there for a while again. And when I say a while, I mean a while. And then come to find out, he had warrants in other counties. So what happens here in Georgia, I don't know about other states, if you are in trouble in one county, but you got a warrant in another, they're not going to let you bond out, because a lot of times the system will check with other counties and they'll put what they call a hold. Meaning, I'm in jail in Blue County, and Red County says they have a warrant. So Blue County not going to give me no bond. They're going to hold me until Red County come pick me up, because Red County got a hold. And then they going to prosecute me. And then if I got something somewhere else, they going to, and it just goes on and on. It's a cycle. This mug hopped around to 3 different counties. It is now 2013. Like I said, we met in 2010. It's February. I'm at work and I get a phone call. Like I said, he's in jail. His son is staying with his mama. I'm at work. My son is with my parents. I'm at work. I get a phone call from a hospital in Atlanta. And they said, hi, are you? They say my government name. I said, yes. They said, well, we have, like I said, I'm going to refer to him as Goofy, because I'm not going to say his real name. We have Goofy's mom here at the hospital, and she's in a coma. We need to let the next of kin know. My first thought is, holy crap. And my second thought is, why are you calling me? I'm not next of kin. So I informed them. I said, look, her son is in such and such county. Her daughter lives in another state in the Midwest. Her ex-husband lives in another state in the Midwest. Here is their number. You need to contact them. They said, well, you are listed on her emergency stuff. I guess because all the time she had gone to the hospital, she had just listed me as one of her emergency contacts, and they went down the list and they got to me and I answered. So I asked them what had happened since she listed me. You know, I was privy to the information. And they said, well, off the record, went into cardiac arrest, and she ended up in a coma. I had the hospital reach out to his sister, because I explained to them, I'm not blood family. I was dating, her son. You need to reach out to her family. This is not, like, don't tell me no more information, right? So I believe they called his sister. The situation was so bad that basically they were waiting for someone to come and pull the plug. And keep in mind, this man is locked up. So the next time he called me, I had to break the news to him. Your mother is in a coma, and they don't think she's going to come out of it. And of course, I didn't want to tell him that over the phone. Regardless of the situation, I never wanted to break something like that to somebody over the phone. Regardless if the lady liked me or not, it was a sad situation. That's still somebody's mama. And he just fell apart. And I felt so bad for him. I felt so bad for his son. Because I had grown a relationship with his son. I've been around him for the last 3 years. He wasn't my child, but, you know, we was cool, right? So I remember I went and got his son. And I told his son, look, I can't take care of you. You're not my baby. And you're not my charge. You're not my responsibility. I can't take care of you. But what I will do is take you to be with your family. So he had some other family that lived in Atlanta, some cousins and friends and so on. So I dropped the son off with them. I made arrangements for him to pack up his stuff at their apartment, and he went over there with them. Because I think at the time he was like 15. He was 14, 15. So this was February. Goofy's sister ended up coming down here. We ended up meeting later on, I think a day or two after she got here, at a sports bar, because the family had gathered at a sports bar to kind of hang out and decompress. Goofy's family came here and they persuaded the judge to let him out, to give him a bond and let him out, because his mother was dying and he and his sister needed to be there to pull the plug. He went into a very deep depression. At the time, I thought that he was just going to go off the rocker and start drinking again. But he wasn't drinking. He wasn't eating. He just was just kind of trying to function. All right. So now they got to fly her body back up north. Her casket, her plot, all that stuff had been planned out like for years and years. Makes arrangements for him to fly back to. But here's the thing. He has to go before the judge and lie and say, I need this many days to bury my mama. But they didn't know that he was leaving the state. I was like, I don't want no parts of that, this and the other. I ended up going to pick him up from jail, though. I ended up taking him by the house to pack his clothes. I ended up taking him to the airport. It wasn't my responsibility, but it just scared me because of the fact that he wasn't supposed to leave the state. He ends up going to the funeral. I try to make sure that I am there as much as I can be emotionally. All the other stuff, I kind of pushed it out the window. He has to come back. I pick him up from the airport. We go get something to eat. We chill for a couple of hours because guess what? He got to turn himself right back in. He ends up serving maybe like another couple of weeks or whatever. He gets out. He starts going to church. He becomes very religious. I won't say spiritual. He becomes very religious. And when I say religious, that means doing all the ritualistic things to do with God, but not really forming that connection with God, right? So we start going to church every Sunday. He gets a job. He starts doing all these things. And I think, man, he is changing. We were, we celebrated with our 3rd anniversary or whatever. Like I said, it was 2013, I believe. That was the 3rd anniversary. We celebrated 3rd. I was like, dang, I can't believe we made through 3 years. Fast forward to the end of the year. Like I said, he was working his little job. He was moving pallets. But he does not have the best health either. He's a smoker and also a heavy drinker. I get a phone call from the job because we're living together at this time. He's being rushed to the hospital. He's having a heart attack. I'm like, what? And they're like, ma'am, you need to get to such and such hospital as soon as possible. 2 heart attacks at that time and an open heart surgery. Okay, so I'm terrified because this is number 3. This could be it. I rush to the hospital and I'm taking care of him and I'm trying to make sure he's okay. And they end up releasing him after a couple weeks, but they tell him, you're going to have open heart surgery. He already had 1. Now he's on number 2, and he wasn't even 40 yet, y'all. He was in his mid-30s at the time. He decides, I just want to spend the rest of the year just hanging out and having a good time. My birthday is 4 days before Christmas. His birthday was at the beginning of December. Him and my son's birthday, both at the beginning of December. So we had their birthday parties. My birthday's 4 days before Christmas. He ends up planning this club party. It's me, my brother, my homegirl, her people. We all go to the club. We have a great time. Well, here's the thing. I'm drinking a little bit, but some was just like, that liquor tastes nasty. Well, that's weird because this particular drink, I liked it. A little pineapple and vodka or whatever. But for some reason, it tasted nasty that night. So I'm like, this tastes, couldn't even finish it. And the joke was, Jen didn't even finish her drink. She getting old. I ended up just feeling kind of sickly, like, We all went out and adults went out that night. We had a great time. But I just did not feel right. And I couldn't put my finger on it. Well, fast forward. Guess who's pregnant? Yeah. I know that was a lot. But if you made it to the end of this video, I appreciate you. I hope that the stories that I tell help someone else. I hope it helps you to recognize the red flags before it is too late. Please know that if you are with someone and your spirit does not agree with it, get out of it. Do not wait. Do not try to quote unquote work it out. Do not see if it's going to get better. Because 9 times out of 10, if somebody did something once, they're going to do it again and again and again. And it's going to only get worse. It is not your fault. It is not your cross to bear. And it is not your battle. Get out as soon as possible. Love on you first. Because you do matter. Regardless of what that person says. They're going to tell you that nobody else is going to want you. You ain't never going to find nobody else like me. When they say that, look at them and say, and I hope I never do. But anyway, if you made it to the end of this video, please hit the subscribe button. And stay tuned for part 4.